My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we are back for another season of the Great Canadian Bake Off. Not baking show, Bake Off.
Yes, and wherever you're listening to, from whatever crisis is hitting your part of the world, well, enjoy.
Enjoy the crisis, and enjoy the crisis with, Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. The gift of love is something that everyone looks for worldwide. And the greatest gift of love you can give is food. Mm-hmm. And bake-off/baking show.
I know. And Canada have just gone, look, the world needs a big old hug right now, so we're going to give you both.
And what we're going to give you right now is a bit of a teaser into that, because we have with us, and we are desperately excited about this, the hosts of the Great Canadian Baking Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan and Anne, how are we going?
Hi.
Hi.
Guess which one's Anne?
He's like,
guess which one's Alan?
Is it too late to leave?
I got a thing.
I think that's my mum calling me.
How are we both doing, first of all?
I'm doing pretty good. It's about 7 p.m. over here, so pretty close to getting the jammies on and going right to bed.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. So
important thing.
I had my evening nap, so I'm like still recovering from that. Like there's still sleep on my face, but I'm like, it's been like 40 minutes. I'm just like trying to get it off. But yeah, I'm here. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me. For us.
How good are naps though? Like particularly in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Just falling asleep in the sun like a little cat. I love it. It's so much fun.
I like
belly up.
I'm a big fan of the morning nap. So you wake up, stay awake for an hour, and then go right back to bed, because why not?
I'm jealous of all of you. I cannot nap to save myself.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah, Kristie is a world champion napper, so we balance.
I nap for two.
Napping for two, folks.
I'm gonna take your nap.
It's good. She gets extra time as a result. So, we could be here to talk about naps.
Yeah.
And I think we will. So let's just go on to naps. No.
It's a big part of my life, so.
It's a big part of a lot of people's life. Again, I feel like I'm desperately missing out.
And I feel like more people have been introduced to the beauty of naps thanks to COVID. I mean, another silver lining with the global pandemic.
I know, the silver lining, and where we can't leave our houses here in Canada, well, in Toronto, Ontario. So what else are we doing but napping?
Exactly. We've got varying levels.
Yeah.
We've been fairly fortunate, obviously, in Australia in terms of our caseload. But, obviously, talking to a lot of people overseas and seeing all of that, napping is the sport now. It is a sport.
Napping and baking.
Nice segue. You're on fire with your segues. So it's usually I'm doing the segue. She's top notch. So
halfway through a coffee.
Exactly. So obviously, this is your first season hosting the Great Canadian Baking Show. We are desperately excited. So first of all, what sort of drew you to the idea of the show? Had you seen a lot of not just the Canadian, but the international versions as well?
For myself, I actually watched the Canadian version. Sorry, Alan. I watched the Canadian version during our first lockdown, and boy, was it ever a refreshing breath of air. And I haven't started with the British one yet, because I feel like I'm saving that for a rainy day. But it's on the it will get watched list. But I mean, how much different could it be other than just a warm hug? So whenever I'm needing a warm hug, I'll probably tune into the British version. But for now, I caught up on the first 3 seasons of the Canadian one, and what a dream.
Oh, is that Sandy?
Yes.
And Alan?
Yeah, same. Last lockdown, I kind of got into it and watched all the seasons. And I've seen some of the British stuff. I've seen like a lot of those like compilation videos of just like some fun moments like on set, and so that was like a lot of fun to watch. But it's just fun to watch something where it's the idea of the show is just like actually making friends. Like I always make that joke of like the bad baker like comes in like, I'm not here to make friends. Like this show is just like the total opposite, and it's just like, I'm here to make friends, and like baking is like kind of the side point to it all. Like it's just more about that kind of conversation and sharing and the love, and that's what kind of really drew me into it. Because like even like over Christmas we had some little viewing parties on Zoom, just kind of watching like, this is fun, right? Like I showed my sister in Germany the show, and she's like, yeah, let's watch more of this. And I was like, yeah, it's good, right? So it was fun to kind of experience that again with my sister.
Oh wow. that distance though, how's she doing in Germany?
She's okay. Berlin has some weird kind of rules with masks and stuff like that. So she's like kind of like me and just kind of like always concerned about everything. So she's just like, yeah, people here, it's just so lax. I'm like, I just want to leave. I don't want to leave. But she's having a good time. Her and my nephew are they're hanging out. My nephew's still trying to get a PS5. So if you're listening on it, I will find you a PS5 to help you through this lockdown.
That's the other big global problem right now is getting hold of a PS5. So, if anyone's listening out there and has a couple everyone on the Zoom right now, just everybody, we'll take them. We can be bought.
We'll take you. I want to see what Assassin's Creed Valhalla looks like on PS5.
So beautiful. It's so good and crisp.
I know. I'm on my second playthrough. Okay, this isn't... Okay.
I don't care about this because we're going to talk about the show. Trust me, we're getting there. It's because, again, it's a little bit like this, as you sort of mentioned there before, Alan, it's this warm, there's no bad baker. No one can, I'm going to ruin the competition. And I said, we've covered obviously Australian, Canadian, and British. So we cover sort of the whole gamut there. And we found with every single person we've spoken to from every single version of the show, they're just so warm. They're just so inviting. They're so helpful. We've talked to people from Canadian and Australian who have said, we're on our way into a challenge and someone goes, I don't have a recipe for a buttercream. And they're like, I've got one. Here, have this one. You use mine. This is how you do it. And you don't get that with a lot of other food television.
No, you don't.
You usually get someone, with swapping the label for salt with sugar and twirling their moustache in the corner going, whoa.
Yeah, I've seen Shop. They just go in at it. They're just like trying to psych each other out. Just like, huh? Like, I'm like, oh, this is funny. There's no love here.
And a lot of the times, too, the trash talk seems very forced and very much like, psst, here's a producer and they want you to be mean. And you're just like, oh, why? I'm busy. And there's none of that energy for a baking show. And it's such a refreshing thing, especially when things are a little bit tough out in the real world. It's so nice to have a genre of reality show that is not about competition with other people. It's not about cutthroat. It's not about, I'm the best. It truly is, hey, how can we all help each other? And how can I beat myself? How can I one up the last time I baked something? And I think that's the kind of stuff we need right now.
Yes, because ultimately, when you're stuck at home in lockdown, you can only compete with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are your toughest competition in that case. But it's so, I mean, obviously going in there and going into something that's been well established, sort of how was it to move into like this established sort of environment, especially given the challenges that COVID, presented obviously during the recording and obviously in the lead up to it as well?
Well, thankfully we had pretty low numbers in terms of COVID when we were shooting. It was during the summer months, so things were quite much more open, but we still had a lot of restrictions on set, which is you need it for safety and it makes everyone else feel good. I've already forgotten the question.
No, just talk about whatever you want, man.
I'm just
to let you know how.
I'm presuming the rules were like no licking the baker. No sticking it in their mixing bowl, like just.
Yeah,
but that's what it was.
Yeah, the mixing bowl stuff we got to miss out on. That would have been a lot of fun to be part of. Just to like, I want to get in here. Yeah,
like if we really wanted to screw with people, we just would go closer than 6 feet. You know what I mean?
Inside the zone.
Getting into that social distancing bubble of theirs really, really throws them off their game.
It really feels like we've gone back to Regency times, you can't go too close to the person.
Especially not the person in the kitchen. No, don't go near them. You don't know what they have. But it's...
And now we can get into a Bridgerton conversation.
Bridgerton, please. That was the last thing that I binged last week. And oh, wowie, wow. So many sultry looks.
I know. I really feel like Bridgerton is like Jane Austen and Bake Off have been mushed together, and the Botticelli has come out, and Anais has written like the scenes for it. So
so easy, and you're just. I love a
and
show
the sexual
that is,
tension in that show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, show, right? Yeah. A lot of sexual tension.
Just like I can't do this because my dad. And just like the eyes, I was like, ooh. Am I supposed to be in the room? This is really personal between you two, you know? It's so good.
There is a guide that puts down the timing when you shouldn't be in the same room or as your parents, like to fast forward. So I'll send you that, Alan. You'll be sorted.
Yeah.
Send you the "this is not okay" link.
Yeah.
Don't watch this with your mom. This part here. Yeah. No, it was fun. Yeah, over the holidays, that was part of our Zoom thing too. So my mom was there for a lot of that.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Yipey.
The benefit of then Bake Off returning, Canadian Bake Off returning then is obviously that, you know, Bridgerton's been watched. You need something you can watch, you know, with your mother in the room. And
there you go.
And I mean, if there was ever a show though where you might worry about the restrictions impacting the way that people go, it might be Bake Off, simply because there's usually a lot of hugging. Ooh. And everyone's very close, and so that's going to mess with people.
I will say this, and again, to return to, I think, what the previous question was asking, I've remembered it now. It was really hard to not be closer with people because, again, like between Alan and Kyla and Bruno and the bakers, everyone is so warm and lovely. And I'm very much I'm not a big toucher, but I do like to put a hand on the shoulder to be like, yes, we're okay. I like you. Is this okay? You know what I mean? And especially too in those moments of great joy or great frustration, it's so natural that you just want to hug someone or at least, you know, give them a little bit of reassurance. And you couldn't really do that because of obviously social distancing rules. So that was a challenge. But honestly, those bakers, as soon as we're allowed, I'm just going to find where they live and hug them all. So.
Hug party.
Hug party, yeah.
Presume it'll be unsolicited. You just rock up on their doorstep. I
will always ask. Consent is mandatory.
But I will find their hug houses. For you.
So one of the things that we have got to see so far is the sort of blooper reel that's gone out in terms of you guys in there. Now, Alan, how much fun was it for you guys particularly to get to riff on those little bits and pieces? Because it's one of the highlights in every version of Bake Off, the riffing that goes on there.
Yeah, the riffing was so much fun just because like playing off of Anne's energy, we just are just having so much fun. I feel like kids at camp or something like that. And it's so much fun when you get to just like go and you're riffing and you're having fun. You know, you did a really good job when someone just goes, just gives you one of those looks. It's just like, come on. I'm like, what? We're having a blast right here. Some of those moments were definitely highlights for me. When I got a head turn and a come on, that was a lot of fun for me to do.
We got a lot of those looks. It was very fun because Alan and I were comedians and we've actually worked with one another. So there already was this friendship that sort of was the groundwork for the rest of our work as co-hosts. And it was just fun. It was literally going to work and hanging out with a buddy. And what a wonderful scenario for a workplace. You know what I mean? Just having fun and interacting with a very funny human being and then very funny bakers as well.
Yeah, it's because it's one of the things, and we've talked about it a lot on the podcast over the years, which is that the energy of the hosts sort of dictates a lot of how the show goes, because there are the moments where things genuinely fall apart occasionally for the bakers. And it's how the energy of the hosts meshes with those bakers that sort of stops it from becoming this really sad, you know, morose affair, and sort of makes that little bit of humor, that bit of humanity, and knowing when to be funny and when to sort of show that human emotion and caring.
And when to steal the food.
And when to steal the food, which is also a very important part of this whole thing. Those moments, and I think you mentioned it just then, obviously, Anne, about, you know, you guys have had work together and sort of knew each other. And across the different series, the different sets of hosts that have worked the best with the show have had some form of background. And so they sort of know how to riff off each other really well. And then you get this sort of warmth that comes across to the bakers. So that's really useful.
So we know you guys will kill it because, like, okay, I don't know how to segue to this. So you guys are from Second City.
Yes. You're
Kristie's
so
off.
sweet to be so excited.
I studied improv when I was in my 20s, early 20s, with Lynn Pierce and here in Sydney, and it was the highlight of my life at the time. You know, I'd run from, because we had it at uni as well, so I'd run from my campus, which was the nursing campus, which was like 2 blocks away from main campus, over to the bar to do improv during my break, and then I'd have to run all the way back. And it was always my dream to like go to Second City and just one day, you know, it's been 25 years or so, or 20 years. I'm aging myself up. But one day I will get there. So please let me live vicariously through you guys.
Yeah. Once everything, you know, lifts, and I would love for you to come out to a show here in Toronto and, you know, be a part of it. And even like, yeah, get to play around. And yeah, there's a lot of cool like improv stuff, like especially after the shows, like the Second City famous third act. Like if you ever want to do something like that, that would be like a little fun kind of moment, you know, get your moment on stage and yeah, try out some improv riffs. I don't know.
On stage, I was just happy to be in the bloody audience.
I mean, to be fair,
I was just going to bring a lollipop and sit there and contain myself.
To be fair, one of the biggest tragedies of COVID for us was we had actually lined up and started to sell. We were going down to the Melbourne International Comedy Festival last year, and we had a show lined up to do a live washing up.
To 12 people, bitches.
So it was more than 12, but
okay, 20. I think.
But we had a show lined up to do at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Yeah, we were off, but that doesn't matter. We get to riff.
Very good Thai place.
And then obviously the International Comedy Festival got cancelled, which ruined the whole thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was sort of, so again, you could definitely riff on it.
Who cares about that? So
no, that is so disappointing. Like, and honestly, like I feel for you. As you know, Alan and I are comedians. We live for the stage. So right now, like, honestly, you're like, no, let's move on. Who cares about that? I'm like, I care. That hurts me. I feel so bad that was taken away from you. Because those festivals are fun.
Yes, so I presume live comedy in Toronto at the moment is a no, or on your balconies, like drilling holes through the wall so your neighbor has to listen to your stand-up, like.
Oh, no. I mean, thankfully for my neighbors, that does not happen. But over the summer, there were some outdoor shows and even a few indoor ones. Maybe Alan, did you do any stand-up over the summer?
Yeah. There was at the comedy bar, there was these kind of like shotgun shows where like there's no host. You pretty much like go up, take your mic, and then you have your own mic, and then you have your own cap. So it was a different kind of feel of it. The audience was kind of pushed back, but yeah, there were just still kind of remnants of it. I didn't kind of jump into it immediately because like I just didn't have that kind of pull early on. But there was a point where I was like, yeah, I have not gotten my validation from strangers in a bit, so I got into
You're just ordering Uber Eats like perpetually and standing up to the delivery person
through the door.
Yeah. You
Everyone
like it? Is
loves
it funny?
it. Yeah.
Do you want your tip? You will
$10 tip if you just give me 5 minutes. That's it. I promise. It's some new stuff. It's really good. I promise. It's good.
So did that land? I'm not sure if that landed.
Was it like you and your mum after
didn't land $20 tip? I'm so sorry. Yeah. Mom and Bridgerton. Is that something? Has that got legs? Let me know. You there? You have left. That's okay. Thank you so much. $20.
Now, I mean, the plus side is post-COVID now they can also work baked good jokes into normal stand-up and see how that flies. You know, what is the sort of, you know, landing potential of a joke about croissants? I mean,
honestly, I just tried to come up with a joke, but it's been that long since I've A, been on stage, B, tried to be funny that like my brain was like, no,
you can't.
No, you're not allowed. It's not happening.
I'm not committed to jokes about croissants. They're too flaky.
No such thing as a bad pun. No such thing.
Boy.
Yeah.
All puns are great puns.
Yes,
they are.
This is the house of puns that we live in. We don't do Valentine's Day here. We do Punentine's Day. So we'll write each other puns for the day. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mostly because we're cheap and couldn't be like getting
All right. Well, there's the truth of it then.
Yeah.
It works wonders.
Yeah. So here's how we can combine it. On the start of a Great Canadian Baking Show, write people a Valentine, to celebrate with baked good innuendos. That's what I'm thinking. Like, oh, I'd like to put a bun in your oven. Is that this thing's got a baguette in your pants? Are you just happy to see me? Is that too?
What I like is that you went for like really bad vaudeville level.
Yes.
Never stop. Like, never stop, never change.
Alan is now. I'm just acting that invitation to come on stage.
Look, all puns are bad. Like, you know what? Like, they're all good, but they're also all bad. So, as far as I'm concerned, those are all equally great.
And I mean, it's also. It's good also to work on that material as you go around what we call the pavilion. We don't call it the tent because. So let me explain. I'll explain to you because a lot of our audience who've listened before know. In British, it's the tent. In Australia, it's the shed.
They literally construct a
shed.
I'm sorry, you guys have a bread shed?
Yeah,
yes,
so
we
it's
do.
It is actually, as we found out when we spoke to the executive producer of Australian, it is actually a tent with shed cladding around it. So it's an amazing construction. And then what we said is that we can't really have that for Canadians, so we have the pavilion. So...
Because it's got the nice little peak.
Yeah, and you've got like a deck.
And I'm sure Bruno just brings out a unicycle halfway through, do a bit of...
He does his bike tricks, yeah.
always going to be bike tricks, juggling. I imagine that Bruno juggles.
Kyla in the what's it called? The
trapeze.
Trapeze, that would be the tricky part.
She's little. She absolutely could go flying. Yeah.
So, just from your perspective, though, because we've spoken to bakers who have previously talked about the pavilion, and in particular, the temperature in the pavilion. What was the temperature like this season in the pavilion? Was it warm?
It was the hottest of days, and it was the coldest of days because we had shot at the very end of the summer, leading into fall. We had those wonderful extremes of weather. So for the first half, it was like, we're dying. It was so hot. And like, we couldn't really have fans because that went against the COVID protocol. So it was just like an exercise in how much I could sweat through my dress on any given day. But then at the end of it, I don't know if you'll see it or notice it on camera, but here's a little, what are they called? Easter egg for you. Alan and I were freezing. Like especially for the tasting of the showstoppers, we would be off in our chairs, just like so rigid and so like quietly shivering between like the judging. And we're just like, don't show how cold you are. Maybe you will see me or Alan just very subtly shaking in the background.
Yeah, just the jaw just chattering, just like an old skeleton in the cartoon.
I mean, Alan, here's something for future series. I mean, maybe a warmer inside the hat.
I was going to say that.
I would love that. I would love that, because I feel like radiation of the heating is coming up in the skull.
Like a heater in the band and just sort of,
down.
You could just slip in like a hat-shaped brick in one of the ovens whilst people are cooking. Like in the olden days.
Just is this done? Are you done with this?
Yeah. Like, I don't know why they didn't just let us... I wish they let us just sit on some hot plates and just keep warm that way, but
there's probably an OH&S meeting that has to happen for that.
They'll just open one of the proving drawers and there you are. Just
curled up inside.
What a wonderful place to take a nap.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
They're finding you napping.
Yes, we're just going to make the world nap.
I mean, we have previously suggested, I'm pretty sure, on a podcast that outside of the pavilion, there's room for hammocks.
Oh, I would agree. I would definitely agree. There was
and a jacuzzi
nice
on that.
And we've talked about the jacuzzi on the deck too. I mean, there's so much potential.
Because I just presume you guys like have a bar set up in the green room, so just cocktails, jacuzzi. We're the bloody host. Oh, they're in the jacuzzi again. Can't have the bubble too loud.
There's always one boozy baker in every series globally. There's one boozy baker at least, who we always argue keeps the still hidden under the bench somewhere and just sort of produces it. And it's every season. And in Ted talking to different contestants over the previous 3 seasons of Canadians, they've all gone, yeah, no, there's definitely a skill hidden.
I want to know who the Boozy Baker is now. Like, I got to look back on with this new information in my eyes, because there were moments where, like, the bakers kind of have some like booze while they're making it. You make the joke.
You'll notice James Hoyland. Yeah, he was a boozy baker.
He opened with beer.
I mean, he's British, so that's just breakfast.
One log in the morning.
Yeah. Gotta put this on my Weetabix.
but to get a little bit more serious briefly for a moment, the one of the things that we do also like, and Bake Off does it well globally, but I think Canadian actually does a better job of it than most versions, is about representation. And I think one of the things that we really like about Canadian is the really diverse amount of representation, and not tokenistic representation, but genuine representation, talking skill and ability.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I think the Canadian has done very well, especially compared to a lot of the other versions. So, I mean, it must be sort of interesting for you then coming in and like seeing that range of diverse people and diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences all getting together just for baking.
That's one of the wonderful things about a skill like baking, is that literally every single person can do it. You don't have to be rich. You just have to have an oven. And honestly, just have a box with a couple of matches. You know what I mean? Like
a hat with a warming ring and a hat.
Precisely. It's a very, anyone can do it. And it just goes to show you like how universal food is and how it can be. And so I think it's also a testament to, the casting and the producers for choosing these incredible bakers, and not just, to be the diverse one on the show. It's literally just based off of how charming and lovable they are based off of their audition tape. And that's Canada for you, man. We are super diverse and full of really great people and really great bakers. So
yeah. And a big shout out to the producers for able to like find such amazing people through just like Zoom, like all over Canada. Like they did a really good job this season, because like these bakers are so nice and so much fun. And you immediately, like, once, like, I think the day we met them, I was just like, I love these people. They're so nice. Like
they clapped for us.
They clapped.
And we're like, you don't know who we are. We're nobody. What's going on? We should clap for you.
That's
you
validation. That's validation for a comedian, straight up.
Yeah.
And it's very Canadian of us to be like, this is not for us. No. We're not good. You're good.
It's like, no, you're awesome. You guys are the awesome. No, you're awesome. Whereas in Australia,
4 hours later, we're like, no, you're awesome. Just back and forth.
And the producers are like, guys, we've got a show. Can we start recording this thing? No, you're lovely. No, you're amazing. Got to send someone home, guys. No, we don't.
Can't, will not.
These are Canucks rules. Can't do that.
We've proposed a few times, actually, that, what they need to do was, in week 1, they needed to have, and British sort of tried it in their most recent series, they added a 13th baker. Our theory, however, was, forget adding a real 13th baker to go home. What producers need to do is add a 13th baker who's a member of production. Yeah. And so they send that person home. So someone goes home in week 1, but nobody who's actually in the contest goes home. So we get to see these bakers more. And like, you're still following the rules of the contest. 100%. Someone's going home, but in reality, it's Greg and he's going back to the boom mic. So I think that's like, you don't have to
I say we take it a step. I think we take it a step further and then do like one of those MTV Cribs style episodes, where like a whole episode dedicated to the baker. We see them in their element. We get to see where the magic happens and how they bake. And then after we see all the bakers, then we can start, eliminating people after we've loved them for, a full 2 weeks,
Yeah, like they did on
great.
Yeah, like RuPaul, US this year with the 2 weeks of no one going home, essentially. Like that
no one.
Yeah,
no one going home. Speaking for RuPaul. Let's segue. So
smooth. Not as smooth as mine.
No.
I've got smoother.
So not going to talk US.
Okay.
Not going to talk US because that's too easy. However, we've watched, first of all, really liked the season of Canadian. That was brilliant.
Oh, yes.
Brooklyn Heights is
Priyanka.
amazing. And Brooklyn Heights is a controversial statement. Brooklyn Heights is a better host than RuPaul. I said it. I mean it. I said it.
Whoa. That's us done in showbiz.
I still want to meet RuPaul.
I know. RuPaul's amazing, but Brooklyn Heights was fresh and something new.
Brooke was awesome.
And UK season 2.
Oh, so good.
Let's discuss.
There's also good. I love them all. I don't care who wins. I'm sad they all have to lose except for one. I love them all, and I've never felt that way about any season. They're all wonderful.
We've talked about this watching it. It's almost like RuPaul and Michelle Visage are just having fun in this series.
Okay, hear me out. I have some thoughts about this season and about the US version about judging specifically.
Yeah.
I think because in the Canadian season, the fans were too much. They basically, like, I'm sure we all know, bullied wonderful Jeffrey off of Twitter for a little bit because of how vicious they were about the judging. And I think that kind of told Drag Race editors, producers, the bigwigs, they can't be so mean in the judging, because I've noticed this year that everyone's judging is so much more humane, and it's constructive in a way that it has not been in previous seasons. And I think that tone shift has to do with half of the time, like, I know the American season was filmed during COVID, and I know the UK one, they had to take a 2-week break.
Yep, we're about to see what happened.
Exactly. That's next episode. Oh, I can't wait. But I think that, and in addition with like the recent seasons where the fandom has gotten absurdly vicious. It's wild. I think they've really changed the judging, because if you'll notice, they are having so much more fun as judges, and all of the criticism is at least constructive now. You don't have Michelle being like, "That's ugly and I hate it. Cinch your waist."
No, she's very constructive.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that they sort of are shifting the tone to step away from that. Maybe, try to be a little bit more like the baking show and the Bake Off franchise. I don't know.
I just presumed that ruined Michelle, in their separate palaces. Decided to Zoom watch Bake Off together, and they're like, "Oh, we need to be more like Bake Off."
I mean, they've been over especially they were over in the UK, so lots of opportunity there, and all of the series there's Bake Off all over the place. So I mean, Netflix then uploaded, Canadian made it to Netflix, so Ru could have easily found it. I mean,
I mean, let's all hope that everyone watches baking show so that they get a taste of kindness, and may we all bring that out into the real world. So.
Exactly. Everyone get yourself to CBC Gem, or that's by the way not a plug that I'm required to give, but it's just general.
Yeah. I'm like, how are you even accessing CBC Gem from where you guys are?
Australia. One of the other Commonwealth countries.
Is
CBC Gem is a wonderful service.
It is.
You get it?
We do get CBC Gem, yes.
Okay, I see. I get it. That was my question.
We will not and do not ever get the show in any form or any way, shape, or form that is not legal. Put it that way. Yeah. It's always legal.
Honestly,
and it's always assisting with ratings the way we watch it. Yeah, because we believe in supporting the product. So. Exactly. So we always
you're giving back by having us on. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
No, don't thank us. Like, hang on, this is the round of applause moment. It's like,
no, you guys.
No, it's you. It's you.
No, it's you.
No, it's you.
I was just going to be Australian. You go, yes, all right, let's move on. It's just like,
shucks, guys. No, it's you. It's you. But no, I do agree. I think that the judging in RuPaul's been far more humane. Again, a lot more like Bake Off judging that you see. Again, and to bring it back to Bake Off, watching Bruno and Kyla and the way they work with the judging, and especially watching their interactions with the bakers. And these are people with vast amounts of experience who, could have been the sort of person that just sort of went, no, do it better, and sort of been a bit more harsh. But instead, the fact that they're so warm and inviting in the way that they judge and helpful, that I think is something that a lot of shows, like for example RuPaul's Drag Race, has started to, I think, aim for a little bit more. And I think the audiences, especially in COVID, have adjusted to that and gone, no, we want more of that sort of judging.
That's it, because when we're all sort of locked in our homes for various reasons, hopefully you're not there because someone's making you stay home. Anyways, whatever.
You want to just reach out on the Twitter, use the hashtag.
Hashtag help. We need a little bit more kindness. We need a little bit more sweetness, and especially for something like the baking franchise and the baking show, the Bake Off. I mean, honestly, it's just bread. It's just a cake. It's just cookies. What are we getting so serious about? And meat? Like, there's no reason to bring any negativity because it's food. Let's not take ourselves too seriously. And what I love about the baking show is that they're not competing with each other. They're competing with themselves. They're competing with their ovens. They're competing with the elements, how hot it is, how humid it is, how cold or dry it is. And when you're doing that, what can you really say other than, well, I'm trying my best, and that's good. That's great. We should all strive to aim to do our best, so more nice shows, please. I'm so over the reality shows where people are mean to each other for no reason at all. So
yeah,
I feel like the Simon Cowell trope has it's done its time. It's said its piece.
It's completely.
Even Gordon Ramsay has become like a big sweetheart,
nicer.
Just
much nicer.
So I've noticed how angry he gets in the episode. He has to be as sweet in the end. Like, you have to have that spectrum. Like, it's going to be real, except for that one episode where he literally walked out. That was a fun one to watch. But like, other than that, it's mostly, just the spectrum of love and hate that he has to do in each episode.
He's done a lot of Australian MasterChef, and whenever he's on Australian MasterChef, he's lovely. And he's wonderful.
Apart
and he's
from the one time he threw someone's fish and said
that was one of the earlier times alive. He did. He said that the fish was still in the ocean. True. But beyond that, he's actually been really lovely and encouraging. Like, for Ramsay, if he only does that to you once,
it's all right.
It's lovely. It's amazing. So one of the questions that I always really like sort of asking people is that if you got the chance, I'll start with you, Alan. You get the chance to set your own bake-off challenge. You want one thing that you want them to bake. What do you want?
Ooh, something very sweet, something with cinnamon. So cinnamon rolls, something like that. A joke that I had with my sisters is calling myself the Cinnamon King because like, as a child to now, anything cinnamon, I was like, what is that? I want it. Like, that's just kind of how I'm drawn to it. So yeah, something cinnamon, no doubt.
I'm here for cinnamon rolls, okay? And I can see that you're really pondering this one.
I'm taking this question very seriously. Yes. I would say chocolate chip cookies because it is such a basic cookie that we all have our recipes to. I would love the opportunity to get to taste 10 different chocolate chips cookies. You know what I mean? Like, very selfishly, I would just be like, yes, I shall judge this now. Yes. Now it's this one. You know what? I didn't taste this last one enough. I'm going to go for another bite. That's what I want. My challenge is the chocolate chip cookie one, and everyone is a winner. No one loses, especially not me.
Yes. I love this thought process you're putting in there. We had, we learned a lot last year, from Junior MasterChef Australia. A lot of the kids there would go up to do like a taste test and just not answer straight away. Just keep, having a few more just to make sure they were going to get it right. And then once they've done it, take a handful for the road.
The best one was they did an ice cream taste test.
Yeah.
And every year they come up, and when the adults do it, they taste and they think about it and give an answer. And the kids had just gamed the system spectacularly and just worked out, I need a bit more. I need a bit more. I'm not really thinking. And then you just see them smiling like, I've worked this out. And the other one was they gave the kids so the kids have revolutionized it. I could really like seeing this in like a Junior Bake Off idea. Hint. But what the kids did in MasterChef that was so amazing, Junior MasterChef that was so amazing, was they gave them one where they could back out of a challenge at any point. It wasn't immunity. They could just go, you know what, I'm not going to do this, and pull out. One of the kids said, the challenge starts, I'll go into the pantry. I will just eat everything I want for the majority of the challenge. And then with about a minute to go, I'll use the immunity and go, I'm out.
No, that's brilliant. Yeah. That is, give that child a Nobel Peace Prize. That's brilliant innovation.
Galaxy brain.
Yeah, that Baker lawyer. Future Baker lawyer. On the business card, both. Like, this smells amazing. This card's so great. You know?
See, you sort of hinted at it before, but was there a reduction in the amount of sampling you were allowed to do through COVID restrictions? Because I feel like that's half the fun of being a host.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it really sucks, but I understand what we had to kind of go through. We had a very strict protocol as far as like if we wanted to try something, it was like a 10-step process to make sure that everyone was safe, everyone was secure, and making sure to have your own spoon and then discarding it as immediately as possible. And sometimes you would try to like get more by like having the bakers, like not you asking it, but them asking like, would you like to try it? I'm like, would I like to try it? And then looking over like, is this allowed? Are we okay with this? They asked it. I didn't. I was just asking what it tasted like. I didn't ask
if I could.
So
if I have to.
Yeah.
That is exactly it.
Just imagining the pavilion a bit like Buckingham Palace. You know how like the Queen can't just go and wipe her own butt. She's got to have like the secretary to butt wiping, and then
the chain of command.
Secretary to butt.
and the royal toilet holder.
See, my image was, and I know Alan's talking about dispense of the spoon properly, but I've just got this image in my head now of you walking around with a belt full of spoons and like pouring one out, tasting, and then just flinging it out the window as fast as you can so it's nowhere near anybody. And like you come back to like week 4 of Bake Off, and in the opening while you're walking across the grounds in Toronto, there's just this spoon garden.
Well, to be honest, we didn't have a belt of spoons. We had a little spoon cup. So it was like a metal cup that had maybe 10 to 12 spoons. Alan got one, and then I got my spoon cup. And there were a couple of times when they just let us like walk around like poor children hitting the metal tin being like, "Can I have a taste? Please."
You just up against the bench, rattling it across.
Oliver, come to Toronto.
Yeah, just like an old-timey prisoner. Just taste anyone? Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be an
that
image.
is it. That was what we were doing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to unsee it. I'm not going to be able to unsee it now. In the round, I'm going to see it just ding, 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 ding.
Tasting time, please.
Is it Toastmasters or tasting? We can't.
Kiss, but it's taste, you know?
Taskmasters.
Everyone wants me to do it. It's like a wedding.
It sounds like, again, it sounds like, it always has sounded to me like the absolute dream job in media is to get to do this, to do both, you know, eating really good food, dealing with really amazing people, and just standing up the front cracking jokes and puns. I mean, it does seem like the dream media job.
It is. It's my dream job. Like, it is my absolute dream job to host a food show. And it happened this summer during a pandemic. So it's why, like, I always think about that at least once a day, how lucky I was to literally, in globally the worst time ever, well, in our lifetime anyways, one of the worst, just this wonderful, beautiful thing could come out of it. And I feel like your listeners probably already know this, but the kindness that you watch on the show, it's there in real life. And as an actor, that's, you know, we know the sort of the backstage stuff behind the scenes. It's not always so nice because, you know, it's a high stress job. A lot of people are working and there's a lot at stake, but this one was it was even nicer, like to work on the show than it was to watch it. And I truly can't say that for a lot of jobs. So this is really a dream job. And oh boy, this season is really wonderful.
I mean, what other job do you get to eat food and write sketches that you get to perform? It's like being at camp, like school camp. It's just,
It was showing up to play. It was like me going to work and being like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my buddy Alan today. Yes. And we sometimes got sugar if we beat on our little spoon cup enough.
You know? It truly felt like an oasis in a lot of things, because it was just this island of positivity that at a time where I could have really used it in hanging out with people and creating these kind of bonds and friendships that like have lasted past this and will go down for the future. So it was so much fun.
Yeah,
I like the idea of this oasis in the middle of everything else. I think that's a really good way to describe Bake Off at the best of times, let alone in COVID. I think it's always this oasis of happiness and joy. So we are really looking forward to Valentine's Day, obviously, to get to see that. So
yes,
we have had
prepare thine puns.
We have had an absolute blast having you on. This has been absolutely fun. Thank you both.
Thank you. This was a nice way to spend the hour before I go to sleep at 8:00 p.m.
May your dreams be full of sugar and Australian accent. G'day, mate. You want a croissant? How about this lovely biscuit?
Just not too late to rescind the Second City thing, Alan. It's not too late.
No, this has to be on stage. People need to see this.
The Queen of Accenting. You will get to, during the course of the podcast, you will get to meet the Queen of Accenting. Her different dialects of Canadian are a joy.
Like I can do the German, so I can speak to your sister in the Germany. It's great. Gott im Himmel.
Just taking us on a trip around the world.
Wait till she starts being from Newfoundland. Anyway, on that bombshell, we will leave it.
Yeah, nice sizzle there.
Perfect sizzle. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been absolutely spectacular. Until next time, I'm still Chris.
I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all later.
Oh, good and bye.